You wake up blocked every morning. Same symptoms, same routine, sneezing, congestion, that heavy, foggy feeling. You're told it's allergies, maybe dust, maybe the season. But here's the question: why does it keep happening, especially in the same place every day? Because not everyone wakes up like that. The same room, the same bed, different response. So today we're not just talking about dust mites. We're talking about why your body might be reacting this way in the first place. And keep in mind, this can happen anywhere. It's not just your bedroom, it could be anywhere. So if this sounds interesting, stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. It's Cameron again. I'm here with Dr. Chris Cormier. Today, we're going to be talking about allergies. Hello, Dr. Cormier.
Hi, Cameron.
Let's start off. I know that you do view allergies a bit different than conventional medicine does. Would you care to share your take on it?
Yes, it's a big mouthful. So, so when it comes to allergies, I want people to think from our standpoint. I consider it like a symptom. So, in other words, we're here. My practice is a Nerve Health Institute, and we're constantly searching for anything that makes your nervous system weak, and that's kind of complicated to think about, but it's really not complicated in the big sense. You want to think of it as this is your power company, and it's literally wired to trillions of cells. Well, anything in your life that's around you, it doesn't necessarily even have to be something. It may be something you never were weak to before. And a good example would be somebody that gets, let's say, a seafood allergy. Their whole life, they've had no seafood allergy, and then all of a sudden they get a seafood allergy. Well, what triggered that, right? It could have been maybe some bad seafood that they had. And then now the nervous system, every single time it feels some type of seafood, it goes into weakness. It's like kryptonite for Superman because it made you weak at one point and it made your nervous system react with an allergy. So that's the easiest way I can describe it. The allergy part, the inflammation. Let's say you can't breathe and you go into anaphylactic shock and all those types of things. Those are like, long, like that kryptonite staying with you and making your nervous system so weak that your body is reacting to it.
Why do you think that so many people wake up congested every morning?
Oh my goodness, so many potential reasons, right? It could be, something that maybe you changed your detergents or fabric softeners, or maybe you changed the type of sheets you have, or maybe you have dust mites in your mattress. Maybe there's some mold in your bedroom. I mean, there's so many potential reasons as to why that could happen. And maybe you're like we talked about, something is making you weak in there, like there wasn't making you weak before.
Why do you think that a lot of people say that their symptoms are worse in the beginning of the day compared to the end? Why do you think that's the case?
It could, if that's the case, it can be something where it's in their house, where something that is in their house causing some of these issues. Also, we see a lot of our patients coming to see us. We'll have something right outside of their house. So let's say they walk outside and go to their car, and maybe it's some pollen from an oak tree or one of their landscaping, out there. There's so many potential things it could be from. But you just want to think of something like the best example. Again, I'm going to say this a bunch of times in this, but Kryptonite for Superman, right? So Kryptonite, like Superman's running around, he's the strongest person ever, and all of a sudden he gets around this Kryptonite, and you could just watch him just go so weak. That's what these types of things, anything on the planet, can make you do that at any given time. And then if you don't find out what that is and strengthen your nervous system to it, then anything that's molecularly similar to that, you'll get sensitive to 500 things if you're not careful.
You touched a little bit on dust mites earlier. For people that don't know, what are they, and why do you think that they're so commonly found in bedrooms?
Because they feed off of dust. I mean, obviously, we got, people don't realize this, but our bodies, we shed so much skin.
Yes.
In a day. And so your mattress is a common area to have all these things. I always try to teach people, make sure that you stay clean, right? So like shower before you jump in your bed, because the dirtier you are getting in your bed, of course, that goes into your bed, and then you sleep on that for, 1,000 nights, and obviously you can have stuff in there. So, so again, just paying attention to all these things around your bedroom and it's, again, I keep saying the bedroom. It could be way more than just your bedroom. It could be dust mites on your couch, right? It's so many different things it could be.
You talked a lot about earlier something that I'm weak to, you could possibly not be weak to. Why is that the case?
So with anybody, why is your bicep bigger than mine, or why is, somebody can bench press more than somebody can bench press? It's the same thing with allergies. Everybody is their own power system. And basically, if you think about a power company here that controls all your cells, well, some power companies are capable of going through a hurricane and 2 tornadoes, and somebody else might not be capable of going through a 10-mile-an-hour wind. It really is determined by how well connected your brain is to your cells. That's the best way I can describe it. In every single case I've ever seen over the years with allergies, we've seen some really, really crazy examples that I can share with you throughout this. But every single one we've seen, you have to figure out what that deep-rooted cause that started the whole sequence of events to try to figure them out.
Why do you think that people clear congestion only for it to return in the next day or a day after?
Again, so there is something that's making you weak.
Yeah.
And so often, whatever that is, if it gets in your system, let's just say it's dust mites, let's say it's pollen, let's say it's whatever, it could be anything that gets in your system, making you weak. And then a lot of times, instead of blowing whatever that is out, people swallow it. They snort it and they swallow it. Well, then it gets in your gastrointestinal tract. And then you can see how it just snowballs into all kinds of other things. And when breathing it in, it goes in your respiratory tract. So it's like, all these different things that you have to take into account. It's very complicated when it comes to allergies. And, again, when it comes to these types of things, I want to make sure we're here to rehabilitate somebody. So many people think that when they have allergies, it's just, something I've had, maybe my family had, and I'm supposed to get, or I've just had it my whole life and I just never get it. But then some people, it's really interesting. We've heard this over the years. Maybe you'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
We hear that as children. Some of the doctors are telling their patients this, and it's not really growing out of it. It's the nervous system finally recognizing whatever it is and strengthening to it versus just staying weak to it.
A lot of people use antihistamines or sprays. What are those actually doing for their nervous system?
Again, in my opinion, it's just mainly treating symptoms, like getting something to dry up that's maybe, inflamed or aggravated where you can't breathe. So in my opinion, we don't, like if it's me, personally, my family, we don't use anything like that because we would rather figure out the deep-rooted cause rather than stay on that particular med for the rest of my life every single day and be reliant on it. But it's not really fixing the root of the problem.
Could stress influence how sensitive somebody becomes?
Yeah, remember there's 3 types of stress, okay? So we get this body one time, and from the moment you start living, we have trillions of cells. Nobody's born with a perfect set of cells. Everybody has genetic defects. And then the moment you start living on planet Earth, you have physical stresses, emotional stresses, and environmental stresses. And any one of those stresses at any given time can knock off the power in groups of cells. And if you don't fix whatever those are, then potentially you got a lot of things that are affecting you, and you're developing more and more conditions where those cells get unhealthy, because those cells could be in your nose, they could be in your ears, they could be in your mouth, they could be in your eyes. We see a lot of people that come to us and they know, they can feel like when they're around something, they can feel themselves shutting off.
Yeah.
And I want people to pay attention to that, because that's you're around some type of kryptonite. Maybe it's every time you eat something and you just don't feel right. Well, then it's something that your body is weak to, and people just don't pay attention to it, or they just pop a pill and then they keep doing whatever that is, and they're not actually paying attention to fixing those potential things that are making them weak.
You have your clinic, the Nerve Health Institute. When someone with chronic congestion comes into your clinic, what do you assess first?
So we go into the full nervous system check, where we literally, your brain and spinal cord, there's 88 major nerves that come off of it that start from back here all the way down. We assess the power of the nervous system to all those cells. And the brain, the way it works, because it's a power company, when it starts to recognize that there's a power outage here, well, then it actually can connect and restore power. So it's a process of connection, right? So So that's where we start, and we try to figure out where that person's disconnected, and then we start a methodical process. Every person that comes to us gets a customized treatment plan where we're able to figure out where those disconnects are. We go through and try to figure anything potentially in the environment that can make them weak, and we try to strengthen those things. We also try to figure out any physical stresses or emotional stresses that could be triggers, because those could be leading into some of the allergies, right? So it could be, let's an example is maybe somebody died close to you and you have a picture of them on the side of your bed, and that makes you weak before you go to sleep, and then the next thing you know, you stuffy because of the allergens in the bed. So it's like there's so many different sequences that can happen that people just don't put two and two together, that we try to do.
Do you have any stories regarding allergies at your clinic?
One of the worst ones I ever seen. In fact, he was a good buddy. He was such a good guy. He was a mayor of a local town. He ended up passing away in a car crash, but we worked on him on and off for many years. Him and his family. Great guy. He came to me originally, and he had a massive. He had no seafood allergy his whole life, and then all of a sudden he developed a seafood allergy. And his seafood allergy was so bad that if he was in a restaurant and they brought fried shrimp 20 feet from him, he wouldn't even have to see the fried shrimp, but he'd go into anaphylactic shock. Wow. That's how bad. Yeah. So you want to think of it as like kryptonite for Superman, right? And his whole life he had eaten seafood, which we're in South Louisiana. People love it down here, and never had any issues with it. But so he came to see me for another condition. We fixed it. And he's like, hey, doc, can you help me with this? And I said, well, we'll do our best, So I didn't have all the advancements I have now, but I was curious. I was like, okay, I know how to check the nervous system. This was probably 15 years ago. And I know how to check the nervous system. So his nervous system was we got it pretty strong, right? But then as soon as I'll never forget, I had a frozen bag of seafood gumbo. As soon as I got that seafood gumbo, within 12, 15 feet from him, his whole nervous system shut down. Wow. It was like kryptonite for Superman. It was unbelievable. And we have methods here where we're able to strengthen him to that bag of seafood gumbo. So I got him stronger and stronger through some treatments of strengthening his nervous system, rehabilitating his nervous system to that, right? I got it to where I could put it on him and he was fine. Okay. So then all of a sudden, we don't see him for a couple months. And he calls us back and he says, you're never going to guess what happened. He's like, I was at this supper and they had a bunch of bacon wrapped chicken. So I started eating a bunch of the chicken. And he said, I went to tell the cook, man, it's a really good chicken. And he said, it's not chicken, it's shrimp. And he's like, oh my goodness. There was a big supper. They had a paramedic there. Wow. He sat down with the paramedic and he's like, I'm probably going to go into anaphylactic shock. Nothing ever happened. Wow. And so he called us and he's like, I said, listen, don't go and eat a bunch of seafood anymore. I mean, we don't know how your nervous system is going to react. But from that moment, he never had another reaction the whole time in his whole life. And it was a freak accident he got in. It wasn't even his fault. But anyway, so just it goes to show you how powerful the nervous system is. I try to tell people that we're not out there saying we treat allergies, right? We're going through the nervous system and trying to figure out what triggered that weakness and that allergic response. And in his case, we've seen so many like this over the years where we're able to strengthen the nervous system to the root cause of the problem so that the nervous system can get stronger and it doesn't have as many kryptonites. The more kryptonites you have on this planet, it's really difficult to live without any quality of life.
You also have body chargers, which is more for at home. For someone dealing with this at home, how can they use body chargers to support better daily regulation?
Yes, so many things. Again, just for clarity, we have Nerve Health Institute, which is our clinic, all the major things we do here. I couldn't go with people 24/7, so we developed body chargers, which I've literally been through, and I've gone through every possible device for home over the years that we could use, and I've pretty much gone and rabbit holed everything you could ever imagine. So now we have the best of the best in terms of helping people at home. And that's what Body Chargers is about. We built this platform. I got so aggravated with so many people out there trying to, get people to do all these things at home. And people are just so confused. There's so much information. You don't know what to choose, what to do. So we have this platform with Body Chargers that gets you all the information you need for home, and it's legitimate. Where with science, here at the Nerve Health Institute, everything we're putting there has been tested and proven on our patients, myself, and my staff and my family. So when it comes to body chargers, there's so many different things you can use. We have devices you can literally put in your pocket, and it can help strengthen your nervous system to potential allergens that are out there. And so many of our patients just absolutely swear by these and love them. Those are frequency devices we have. But we have all kinds of little tricks in body chargers that you can do when you start to have this type of allergic response. There are things you can do that you don't know about that are neurological specific exercises. So we have all these types of things within this one platform that people can pick from 24/7. And the whole mission has been to help people get their body to heal itself. Because remember, your body's designed to self-heal and heal itself. You're not designed for a lifelong of allergies. You're not. And so you got to do the right things, use the right resources and methods. Not only, let's say, if you got to come to our clinic, it's great. But if you got to use stuff at home, that's what we have, all those platforms available for all our patients.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Cormier. That does conclude our talk for today.
If this podcast spoke to you, or if you feel like you have family members or friends that have these types of conditions that could benefit from this particular technology, then all you need to do is become a Body Chargers member or tell them about Body Chargers. Remember, it's our community that I created to help people at home with the best technologies in the world to be able to help you to self-heal your body at home and maximize your self-healing. So go to Body Chargers, become a member. That's the easiest way to get this done. And we look forward to serving you and your family. Also, if you want a higher level of care, we have the Nerve Health Institute you can always come to. That's our clinic where we have higher level services here to be able to help you. So I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to serving you and your family, and look forward to our next podcast.